there! Midterms week, as you can see, busy week. So, well, since you're here, what about I'll show you the system that I'm using for me to survive my midterms week. So come with me, welcome. This is my space of study, of work, of creativity, of literally everything. And lately, it has been my space 24 hours. No, but on a serious note here. Midterms can really feel heavy, especially at moments where everything else feels urgent at the freaking same time. Honestly, why everything happens at the same time? Every class, every chapter, every work, client message, new episode on whatever or you're watching, whatever. Bridgerton's out. Everything going on, right? It's work, it's classes, it's midterms, one after the other, all competing in your head. Am I right? And oftentimes, this is when the panic starts. And it's not because you're incapable, and it's not because we don't have enough time. Most of all, it's because we have no structure to hold it all together. So, this is my structure to survive this period. And I'm not gonna lie, this structure is still a work in progress. So, welcome here where I share you the reality of the beginnings, especially as a student, especially as a business student. Let me show you now what's helped me from literally freaking out and actually stay together. So, I have learned since last semester different ways of really, and I've been very obsessed about finding ways to master my time and be the most efficient when studying. Till I also realized that anything studying is going to take time. And that's normal. But of course, we can always look for improvements and always look to optimize our time and our energy. We're not always going to be high energy. So since then, I came up with a few systems or rule of thumb. One of the things that really helped me when sitting down here to study is to decide the priority, right? It is important to me to decide what is important to study. It's important for me to acknowledge what actually is important, what actually matters. It is a tricky one. Sometimes you need to wait in with the how, but we're gonna get there. So when we're deciding the priority, the goal here is to have that big picture of what are my free times and which are not my free times. The thing is, midterms feel overwhelming when everything feels equally important and equally urgent, and they do to a certain degree. However, we have a few hours, so now time is the essence. That's why it's good to have a big picture system. I normally use my calendar and my Notion. My calendar is more of my blocking time. This is when I will block my time to really focus, and I know my breaks, my pauses, that's it, I'm blocked. My Notion, it's where we go into more details, where I capture more of the things. The goal with this step is to acknowledge how much time do I actually have, meaning what are the moments that I can actually sit down and study for said exam. You get it? And the second step would be what actually deserves that time. Tricky. This is why we decide what to study. And even the how. Again, each exam can be different. One of my exams, I have the memory sheet. So the how here, it will be a little bit different. Less memorizing, more understanding, whereas the others, I do need some memorizing and some understanding. So their weight is a little bit different. So once we saw the big picture, and now we know the deadline and the hours needed versus the hours available, we know what are our resources and what are not our resources, right? We can go more into detail and decide what to study. Do I want to focus more on practice? Do I want to study more on do I prefer doing more mind maps? Do I want to be doing more notes, more synthesize the content and see what works for you? This is really that moment that you need to think what really works for you to understand and consolidate that content. Here, yes, we want to think of the hours, but what matters the most here is really understanding, really grasping that subject. And my third rule is to break it down. I like to have a checklist. I like to call it my study guide. I will have my Notion open in this moment where I will pretty much have a plan. I started studying for my midterms and revising around a month ago, counting with this week, my exam week period. And so I pretty much had the list of what I needed to revise, very specific list. So once I have that study guide placed on, I want by doing that, I just remove literally that all the time thinking of what should I study. Just before having that, I felt like I was all over the place. I couldn't really track my progress of studying or what I have revised and what I have not. The goal here with having that big picture vision is that I can track on hours that I'm focused. And with the Notion, we're into more details. So there I can track down what exactly I have revised. And with that tracking, that allows also for me to understand what is that I'm understanding fully and what I am not. It gives me some control of my own understanding. And most important is to understand how to study, because not all exams are going to be evaluated in the same way. Or some of exams will be an open book exam, or you will be allowed to have a cheat sheet, I like to call it, but it's a memory sheet actually. Oh my god, that's gonna sound wrong. So those exams that you have a memory sheet, you're probably gonna need less recalling and more practicing and focus on understanding. Whereas if you have an exam that require formulas, that you have to memorize those formulas, but it's also a math based with a theory base, well, in that one you need understanding, recalling, and practice. That one will weight a little bit heavier, whereas the other exam that requires more understanding and practice, right? It has one less step, weight a little bit less. You understand me? So having that big picture really helps you to understand what each exam will actually need of you. And then once you get to that very smaller step, your study guide, this is where the magic happens. So if you're also on your midterm week, hang in there. We're gonna get through this. And if you're also looking for a better structure, a better routine for studying, girl, I'm coming with it. I'm gonna give you all that I can once this midterm is gone. And I'm gonna share with you with proven results, maybe. By then, I will have results that will show if what I'm doing is actually working or if it's not working. And that will pretty much tell us if we have to change or not. So hang in there. We're gonna see each other in the next video. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. Bye. We're gonna see.